Hey friends, welcome to the Grateful Human Podcast. We're here with Jess Woodbeck, the CEO and co-founder of Thrive Realty Co. Two things that Jess loves is she loves her work and she loves her husband.
Yeah.
Something that made her smile recently is her son getting accepted to K-State College, and we're going to talk more about that. But Jess, grateful for you making time for this, so thank you.
Thank you for having me. Excited to do it.
Heck yeah, absolutely. For somebody who doesn't know about Thrive, let's set the bar here. Tell us a little about Thrive Realty Co., and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so the best way to describe Thrive is I would say we're a holistic, independent real estate company. It's holistic because we have a complete program within the brokerage that is centered around wellness. So it's our philosophy that if you're a happy, whole, healthy person, you will do 10 times better work. So it's more quality over quantity.
Awesome. I love it. Take me right to today. What's something you're grateful for right off the bat today, just in the moment, something today that popped up?
Yeah, you know what? Just to be alive. I'm fresh off a neuro-linguistic programming cert, and it really shifted a lot of my thoughts. And so every morning since then, which was last week, I've been waking up and just being grateful to be alive, to be experiencing all the things that I get to be here and doing this work, to work with the people I get to work with, to do this.
Right on.
Yeah.
And for somebody who is listening and doesn't know what a neuro-linguistic program cert would be, what's that mean?
Yeah, it's a pretty intensive course, 12-hour days, 4 days in a row, and it certifies you in the science and theory of your spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical well-being.
Wow.
And so it teaches you a lot about the unconscious mind, the conscious mind, how to blend the two so that you use more of your brain and have a little more intention and purpose behind choices you're making. And it just, I've been wanting to do it for about a decade, and so grateful that I finally did it, took the time. It was about a week away from my family and work. And so that's always held me back, and I'm grateful that I was able to pull it off.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can see how that would, you pull a lot of gratitude out of that type of certification. That's awesome. So I feel like a lot of what shapes who we are, you could put into maybe three main categories. We're wired a certain way, came out of the womb this way, then you're raised and you're raised a certain way and learn things, and then you are experiencing life and that's teaching you things. What are you most grateful for about the way that you were wired, came out of the womb this way?
Yeah, I think it's so hard to really pinpoint those moments, right? Because we're tiny and the memory of going back that far is tough to pinpoint. I think I came out of the womb with a gift of cherishing life. My mom went into a coma immediately after having me, and she tells the story. So it's a stored memory for me that the priest came in to read her rites and, have the family come in and say goodbye. I'm the baby of the family. So she has two daughters plus me that came into the hospital room. My dad was caring for me right from delivery. And I started crying as a tiny infant, and she could hear everything. She was fully in her unconscious state and could hear everything going on, but couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything. And it was that moment that she came to. And so I've taken that with me throughout life of just pure gratitude for life, to be alive. We did a podcast with one of our agents, Sean Ernie, and I don't think I've heard anybody say it in more simpler, perfect terms of, I'm just grateful to have all five senses, to be alive, to be breathing. And my add-on is to experience the spectrum of emotion. I think that's something I've picked up in the last 5 years, is not feeling bad about feeling bad or sad or anything negative, just truly understanding that moment in time, we're not 6 feet under. You get to experience that. And that's a gift in itself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Cherishing life. That's awesome. We were raised a certain way, and that shapes obviously so much about who we are. What are you most grateful for about the way that you were raised?
Yeah. I look back at my childhood and I'm so elated with it. I was afforded some opportunities that I think, because my sisters are older than me and my parents were younger and still figuring out life during that time period, I came at the tail end of figuring it all out. And so life was pretty stable and pretty set. And if I look back and it was a happy time. I mean, I was raised to conquer. I was raised to say, my dad, he had 3 girls. And so when I came out, he was like, yeah, she's a girl and this is going to be my boy. So I was an athlete. I was given the pat on the back. I do something that, I look back now as an adult thinking, wow, that was pretty cool that I achieved that or I did that thing. And my dad would say like, yeah. What's next? Like, good job. Let's keep going. And I attribute that today to my craving for betterment. I crave the ability to do 1% better, 1% more for those that I love and serve. And I'm grateful my dad treated me that way. And my mom just kind of encouraged me to do it all. Shoulders back, chin up, go get them.
That's awesome. Dad sounds like a big force in the way that you were raised. Fair to say?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. If you had a message, is Dad still with us? Or?
Yeah, they both are.
If you were to look into that camera and have a message of gratitude for Dad, what would that sound like?
I would say, Dad, I know you're proud of me and I appreciate the tough love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So after you're raised and brought up in this crazy, scary, exciting world, then you eventually leave the nest and you go off and learn things on your own. What do you feel like about, what are you most grateful for about the things you've learned in life and how has it shaped you and your experiences and all that?
Oh, the nurture piece. I think I'm most grateful for the opportunity to work with so many different types of people and really get the opportunity to learn how to adapt in communication, adapt in understanding other people's perspectives and perceptions, really coming to the understanding that there's infrequently right or wrong in any of that. And learning that took me time, to get away from the righteousness, get away from the right and wrong. Took me a lot of years, a lot of feedback from the world. And I'm grateful to be in a place where that was nurtured in me to achieve, to just overcome that thought process and come into a new understanding of really just listening to people, learning about people, being aggressively curious, and attracting all different walks of life and having that be an opportunity for me to learn as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No doubt I have great conversations with people, and every time I learn that no one's really ever had it easy. So there's always hard times behind stories. What's a really hard lesson that you've had to learn, but you're really grateful that you had to go through it to learn it?
Yeah. I have a handful. I think the one that truly reformulated my pathway in life completely is I was pregnant at the age of 19. And I had my son right after turning 20. And it changed everything. I was in college. I came home. I had no career aspirations yet. I was so young. My favorite color was changing by the day. You know what I mean? There was nothing solidified yet. And I know that that was a gift for me to become who I am today and to be an offering of service to others. My ability to persevere and hold the line and choose selflessness over my own hang-ups is something I had to learn so young because I was responsible for another human being. And so it's second nature to me. And I work with a lot of people who are just learning that, maybe in their 30s, even in their 40s, 50s. And I think that's afforded me a gift of service, truly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously you're so grateful for your son. And it was the first thing you said when I said, what made you smile that he's got accepted to Kansas State, which is amazing. If you introspect onto this experience of what you just said of having a child at 20, do you think that do you find gratitude in a moment of something happening, or do you see it after something happens?
That's a great question. I think it really, at this point, I see gratitude in the moment. And I would say, Nick, honestly, that has hit me this last year. It used to be more hindsight. I'd find, after going through the hard and the turmoil or the ups and the downs, I would, in hindsight, say, okay, now I see so clearly. I'm grateful that happened. But now at this point, enough has happened. I've gone through enough trials and tribulations that I truly, like I said, the spectrum of emotion to go through all of it is a blessing. You know, we're alive. That's part of being alive, is experiencing all that we can as a human.
Yeah. More often, and like you said, there's a learning curve of like, it's almost like first gratitude becomes a post-event thing. It's like you look back, but as you have more of these experiences, you start to figure out, wow, like in a moment I can find gratitude, but how? Like how do we do that? If you break down the science of gratitude, how does somebody in the moment of something find the gratitude?
Find the moment.
Yeah.
Choose it.
Yeah.
I think you have to rise with it. I think it becomes you embody it. I think gratitude is something you can completely embody in all four beings, right? From your spiritual all the way down to your physical. And if you start there every day and you end there every day, it just becomes a fabric of who you are and the way you think. And so consciously, it's stored. This is who you are now. And I know I feel this from you. The first time I met you, you embody gratitude. It's in everything that you do. It's in the way you speak. It's in the way you move through a room and how you connect with others. So I think it's something that it is a learned conscious behavior. I think lots of people can be born with this understanding depending on what happens in their lives. But it's a choice, I'd say, consciously you make right as you rise, and a choice you make as you go to sleep at night.
Well said. Yeah. So such a consistent thread in these conversations is that gratitude is it's a muscle, and you've got to flex it and you've got to work it out and you have to choose it. But when you do, it can get stronger and more reflexive, and then that becomes the instinct in the moment, but you've got to work it and be intentional about it.
I agree completely.
Yeah. So you have an amazing culture here at Thrive. What are you most grateful for about the team and the culture that you've been a part of here?
Culture is so near and dear to my heart. In our industry, it's such a buzzword. And so it can kind of come with this connotation of frivolousness or foo-foo or unnecessary. For us here at Thrive, it is our sole purpose is to create a culture that's active. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean there's no issues or challenges that we deal with. It's full of willingness. It's full of gratitude. And I'd say as a collective, it's so active. It's not dormant ever. And we employ people specifically to work on our culture, to cultivate it, to rein it in when it's getting a little out there. That's how important it is, I think, to people's well-being here, to being able to say, hey, I've got a place I can go if my world out here isn't working right now, or I just need a moment to get back in alignment with gratitude, with happiness, with betterment, with focus, whatever it may be. I would say that's what it means to us. It's the ability to perform at your best peak.
Amazing. I'm sure that you see moments where this gets validated every day, but I'll be another validation for you that sometimes when I will go to a business and help pick up blankets like we did today, I'll walk in and they'll point me to the blankets and then everyone will go back to work, which is fine.
Yes.
We appreciate them making blankets. But I walked in, you were the first face I saw. You came up and said hello to me. I'm sure you have 100 things to do, so thank you for that. You offered to help me with the blankets, which I appreciate. And then when we went back to the blankets, 2 people were eating lunch. They stopped what they were doing, got up, helped me with blankets. 3 other people came from out of offices and rooms and tables and didn't even add. They just said, what do you need? What do you need me to do? Like,
yes.
You know? And before I knew it, all the blankets were packed up and they were in the car. And it's a small thing, but it took what would have, maybe been 45 minutes and a little bit of sweat because I'm a sweater.
Yeah.
Into, 4 minutes and they're in the car and ready to go. And it's a small thing, but when you said willingness, I just want you to know I saw it personified less than 20 minutes ago.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it truly, I think culture should have a team spirit to it, right? That's the whole purpose of knowledge transfer, and I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine. There's a trust factor within it. And that's definitely what we look to achieve here.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's probably no amount of time in a day to list all the amazing people that have had an influence on you over the course of time. If you just had to call out a couple relationships that you're especially grateful for, who are some of those people in your life that you just find yourself incredibly grateful for?
Oh, gosh, this is hard. My folks, of course, I think I've learned countless lessons from them. My husband is one of the best humans I have ever met in my whole life. So I am grateful for him every day. My children, they're so unique in their own ways. They teach me things day in and day out, and certainly make me a better person. And then I have some past relationships. I have a best friend that I had for a long time. We're still friends today. We live on opposite sides of the country and have totally two different perspectives in life. And I appreciate those conversations and the lessons I've learned from him, and the help I get to give him from my side of the way. Let's see. The relationships that I form here at work has always been probably my Achilles heel. I love people, and I love learning about people, and I love helping people. And so there is this crossover in our workplace where you go from employer-employee to trust and helping in more personal ways. And it crosses into friendship. It crosses into a coaching relationship. And I'm grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with that. And I would say I'll leave them all nameless, but there's good, bad, and ugly in there. And I'm so grateful for all of it.
100%.
Yeah.
After mom and dad, your first, one of the first ones you stopped at was your husband.
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for about him?
What am I most grateful for about Justin Woodbeck? He has taught me so many things I would not have learned without him. He's taught me to find peace and love in the quiet and just being slow, that I'm a, good what's next kind of gal. And he's really helped curb that identity that was formed out of that and helped me form like, it's okay. You're still worthy and helpful and great by doing absolutely nothing. And that is something I could cry right now. It's just one of the best gifts I think anybody could deliver to someone. And he's a phenomenal father. He makes me a better parent. He came into our lives when, Jake and I were doing our thing, and he offered nothing but love and space for more. And that's everything to me. I think anybody that has enough love in their heart to say, whoever you are and whatever you got, I'm here. I got you. And he offers that.
The privilege was mine to make a blanket with your husband at our blanket making event. Such an amazing human. And he told me the story about just his pursuit of what he wanted, and when you guys first met each other and all that. And you could just tell through 20 minutes of making a blanket and the stories he shared how much love he has for you and gratitude he has for you. So that was really cool.
I appreciate that. He's the most willing human being on earth. Yeah.
If he decides to watch this, what would a message of gratitude sound like for him?
Message of gratitude. Oh, you make the world a better place. And I think we are all better for knowing you, loving you, and being loved by you. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And you mentioned your kids as well. Probably a huge part of your daily life and the things you're grateful for.
Oh, yes.
And you've got some chickens and you make eggs every single day.
Yes.
And I'm sure they get their fair share of eggs.
I eat their eggs, yes.
Amazing. To your kids, what are you most grateful for about them that they're teaching you, that they've taught you?
Oh gosh, they're all so different. And I think that's something as a parent that you hear about constantly, and you just don't know until you experience it. And it's so unique that you can have all of these kids and they're all so different. And I think that's taught me to have space for all different types of personalities and different ways of learning. And it's something I do with adults frequently, which seems to be slightly easier than with a child, because they're boundless. They don't have the caps of traumas yet and things that really curb your opinions and fears and things like that. And so having this kind of abundant, constant peace in my life that's ever changing and challenging and full of love and need is, I don't think there's anything better. So I'm just grateful to be their mom. I'm grateful that I have all the things to do when it comes to that family life.
That's awesome.
From cooking for them to providing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the rules of media, one of the unspoken rules is never say dates and timestamps so that the media can be evergreen. But I'm going to break the rule right now.
Yes. Okay.
If after you're gone off this earth, your kids look back and watch the next 20 seconds of this, what would you tell them that you're most grateful for them today, February of 2024? What would that message be?
Nick, you're going to make me cry. Oh, the 20 seconds of, I would want them to know that everything I do is to show them that it's possible, and that if you desire it or think it, it is something you can do or be a part of. And being their mom is the greatest gift I could ever have. It's why I do everything I do. So that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Big time. If someone is listening to this that is also the CEO of a company and they're trying to figure out how to balance the family life and the business they're running, and what you said as well, the relationships with team members, and where is the line between friendship and employer and emotions and all those things, what are you grateful for about the balance you've been able to strike, or what's the biggest lesson that you could share with someone that's listening?
Yeah, well, I think there is no balance. There just isn't. And I think when people think of balance, you have this visual of 50-50, right? Like it just cuts off and it's clean and it's compartmentalized. And I think the best lesson I could share with anybody who's wanting to have a thriving business, a thriving lifestyle, and be a parent, spouse, friend, all of the things in life at the highest level possible, is that there is no balance. You're going to surge in one category or the other, and that is totally acceptable. There's a time and place for it all. And aligning yourself or surrounding yourself with the right people that are in full alignment with your vision, your principles, and your values will make all of those things go round. When you are aligned with the wrong folks, and it doesn't mean they're bad people, but just not in alignment with your principles and values and mission at hand, that's when all of the friction and confusion creeps in.
This is a really interesting concept that you've introduced, that maybe balance isn't the way to approach that thought at all.
Yeah.
And you've heard, I think a new buzzword that's emerging is work-life harmony. I've heard that a couple of times.
Yeah.
But does that actually get closer to it or hit it, or is there a different way to look at it?
You know, I think harmony is and I've heard that too. I refer to it as rhythm. I had a fantastic mentor for a long time, and he encouraged me to look at rhythms instead of balance, harmony. Harmony implies positivity at all times. And I think that is a fallacy. I don't think that exists. And I think if you look for that and you seek that, and when you can't find it always, you're going to have a level of disappointment, fear, insecurities that start to rise up because you think you've done something wrong. So rhythm, I think, is the healthiest way to go about it. And that's why I said you're going to surge at some point in some direction. You got a new project, you're launching a new business, you have a new team member. You're going to surge there, of course, like we all do doing anything new. And then maybe the family needs you more because someone got sick. You're moving a kid into college. You're having a baby. You're going to surge there. And let's hope you've set up yourself for success in other areas of life with the right people. I think when you're with the right people, regardless if they're the most talented or not, they will always have your back, right? They'll be able to step in and say, hey, no problem. I'll figure it out. I think one of my favorite things that happens here at Thrive, our VP of Operations, Tony, I could throw spaghetti at him. He's like, I don't know what it's for, but I'll figure it out. And I just love that about him. That's a solid team member. Ryan's always lending a hand. He's in media, but you'll find him literally anywhere in this building, around the parking lot, or lending his truck, or putting together, some wood shop mechanism for media equipment. I mean, I think when you're surrounded with the right people, anything is truly possible, and it allows for you to be a real human.
That's powerful. You are definitely surrounded by the right people here. It's clear when you walk in the door. If your Thrive team watches this, what would a message of gratitude sound like to them?
Oh, Thrive. I'm grateful for you making the brave choice to be a part of something that is unique and slightly different for the industry you've chosen to be in. And just by making that choice, you have already entered into a transformational chapter of life. So thank you for being brave, and I've got your back.
Amazing. So we ask everyone that comes on the Grateful Human podcast, what makes gratitude so powerful? What do you think?
I think gratitude is powerful because of, you know what? I think I look at it this way. It's like having glasses on. And when you're looking through glasses that have gunk on it, I would call that any characteristic that is unfavorable. Selfishness, negativity, anything that would force you to seek out the worst case scenario. When you are looking through your glasses and they're clean and they're sparkling and you can see everything and no gunk, I would say that grateful lens you get to look through changes literally everything that you see. It changes the coloring, it changes the tone, it changes everything in which you perceive those moments, those people, the things, the choices, and it makes it much more clear, right? I think it's clear. It clears up the muck. Gratitude allows you to choose for the whole and for yourself and what's going to serve that greater good.
That's awesome. You're adding to the gratitude conversation there in so many ways, Jess, because you're using the word choose. And again, it reinforces that you have to be intentional about it and it's a muscle. And you're also reinforcing that it is this force. And like dirty glasses that have become clean and you can see, when you can choose gratitude in moments, it has this interesting ability to just force all the negative things out.
Yes.
And I'm sure as the CEO and co-founder of this company that there is no shortage of things on your list that maybe would be scary or stressful right this second. But even as you have those in your head, if you just think about, and I'm sure you do, your husband, your kids, your mom and dad, the team you have here, that gratitude has this gives you the chills, just like to say, man, got a lot to be thankful for here and everything's going to be okay.
So much. Yeah. I have a saying recently that I learned, which is connected to everything, attached to nothing. And I feel like that is a perfect way to say, I'm just so grateful, right? Like I'm connected to the person walking past me that I offer a smile to. And I'm attached to them giving me a smile back or not. It doesn't matter because I'm not attached to that. Just connected to the gratefulness of passing someone on the street.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Connected to everything.
Attached to nothing.
Awesome. Friends, Jess Woodbeck is truly a grateful human. She's the CEO and co-founder of Thrive Realty Co. She loves her work, her husband, her family. She's grateful and she cherishes life. And it's been an honor to sit with you. And thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me.